What is going on, guys? I know it's been a while since I've, made a video, but trying to get back into the swing of things. So in today's video, we are going to be checking out a relic from the 1800s in the Bay Area, which is known as the Frenchman's Tower. It's located by Stanford University and actually has ties to Leland Stanford, as it was built by the person who sold his land to Leland Stanford. So this building actually predates Stanford University, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna go check that out, and it's gonna be a pretty quick video because, we're gonna get as close as possible, but I think it's mostly fenced off. So it's kind of like a legendary building that I've been looking into, so it'll be fun to see it in person. So let's go. All right, this is so cool. This is something I've always wanted to check out. It's been on my list of kind of like cool, old, historic things in the Bay Area that are kind of unique and weird. Not too much like explanation, that kind of thing. So here it is. The name, like the unofficial name, is the Frenchman's Tower. It was built in 1874 by a person named Pauline Caperon. I don't know if he was French. I don't know if the pronunciation is correct. That was his legal name. Supposedly, when he was in the US, when he moved here, I think in the 1870s, his last name, his alias, was like Coutts. It was C-O-U-T-T-S. I think that's how you would pronounce that. This is a relic of his ownership before Leland Stanford, purchased the land from him in the, I think it was like the 1880s. So this predates Stanford University, which is just so cool that it's still standing here. And you can see that there is a fence here, so I'm not going to trespass or anything like that. And if you do come and visit it, I highly encourage you to not trespass as well, because things like this that are still around after so much time, it's like a very, very special thing that needs consideration. So you can actually see like how many names are carved in all of these bricks pretty much. Supposedly there's some names that date back to like the early 1900s. I think I see one down there that is like 1953. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Wow. But these bricks, I guess, were harvested natural clay formation somewhere in Mountain View. So these individual bricks here are super old. There's a lot of speculation on like what this thing was actually built for, the actual purpose. So when Pauline came to this area and then purchased, I think he purchased, I don't know if it was like 10,000, 20,000 acres, something like that. But the area of, where Stanford campus is now located, when he purchased that, he set up, I think, like some kind of like, not like a ranch or whatever, but like grazing area for like cows and stuff like that. When Pauline bought this land in the 1870s, he bought it, I think, from another like European person. It wasn't from like one of the rancheros, like one of those like kind of like original kind of like Mexican settlers here. I think the land was already in the hands of like some other European guy, but then he purchased it from him, established like a bunch of like living quarters, buildings, I think like a library as well too. But he had like a family with kids and his wife, and then a like helper for the kids. But one of the structures, the original structures that was built in the 1870s, was this thing right here. And supposedly, in addition to like this crazy castle looking building here, there are actually like tunnels that ran underneath to like different locations. So I read some facts that said that, not facts, but some information that said like these tunnels were specifically for water transportation. Other people are speculating that those tunnels were for, just like escape routes, like if somebody was to come invade something like that. But it's not, as far as I know, it's not 100% kind of confirmed. And then especially like what the purpose of like this building was. Like it was connected to one of those tunnels, but then there's like accounts saying like that there was like a library up, library on the first floor, and then like a water tank on the second level. But apparently on Stanford campus now there is another building that Pauline built that was a dedicated library. So I don't know, that doesn't really make sense that there would be a library on the first floor of this. But I do know on the inside of it right now, there are some like boards kind of like up there that are kind of like decaying and whatnot. Other than that, it's kind of like a hollow kind of cylinder for the most part. And at some point, I think some like vandals on the back side of this, I saw some pictures that like some, hooligan vandal people kind of like actually carved out like an entrance that you can like crawl through inside. Once again, I do not encourage you doing that. You're not supposed to. It's all private property and gated and needs to be protected, but there are some pictures of the inside. And I think the original entrance was there, and then I think one like on the other side, like a little bit lower. And I do know that we are located like next to a creek as well too, like very close. I think on some old topo maps you can actually see like where this structure was, like right next to the creek, but it's not clear if like water taken from that and like stored here. It's not you know, confirmed, I guess. So what people say, you know, most likely is like the reason of this being built was some sort of marker, and then also maybe like some kind of like water storage tank, something like that. I feel like that kind of makes the most sense. But then the issue, or the thing that like doesn't really like add up that much, is the fact that all of the like houses and facilities that water would be fed to were like way away kind of. So it's kind of weird. Usually water towers are kind of like located like on the premise of like a, you know, like a building or a community or something like this, but this is kind of like way out here. So, you know, it's hard to say for certain. That's kind of like what most people are saying. There's a lot of other stories as well too, people saying that it was like some sort of like protection thing, like he was maybe like a little bit paranoid, while people say that there are accounts saying that he was actually like he wasn't paranoid pretty much, and he was like a very like educated, smart person. So that doesn't really like add up why he would want to build like some sort of like fortification to protect himself against some like invasion. You know, that seems like a little bit paranoid for what, you know, people reported his character to be. That's one. And then another one that I saw like a video is that maybe it was just like some sort of like building just that like looked cool. It was just something to kind of like, I guess, like gaze upon. That's kind of like the phrase that somebody used. So I could see that, but it's just hard to say, because I mean, like, why would you build like some sort of like medieval fortification thing? You know, it's like, it's very very interesting. And then trying to get into that mindset of like him back in the 1800s as well too, when there's nothing out here. It's like, why would you build something like this? But he did, and it's here, and we're still talking about it to this day. But it's just like absolutely amazing that this thing is still standing. It was built in 1875, predates Stanford University, and somehow was never demolished for whatever reason. It legitimately, I'm just staring at this thing because it's so weird and like out of place. Like, we're literally like, look, we're just kind of on the old Page Mill Road right here. There's nothing around. There's a few residences, and then you just have like this thing. What the heck? It's totally built like an old castle kind of deal. Very cool to see in person. It's kind of sad. There's like a lot of graffiti and stuff like that, and you know, areas you know, where there was damage, where it's been like patched and whatnot. That does make me happy though, because it does seem like it's getting cared for and maintained structurally. I think that they sealed up some of those, like the two entrances, like that one up there, and I think there's another one on the other side, to kind of mitigate people like wanting to like go inside of it and to help protect it. As far as I know, that entrance in the back is still there, but I'm not gonna go, you know, in there to like confirm or anything like that. And there's a ton of like poison oak and stuff like that, so definitely want to keep out. But so that Pauline guy, so he came here, bought a bunch of land. I think he was doing like, you know, like ranch, dairy, cow related business activities, and then I think he also founded like some sort of like private bank as well too. He was kind of like, I guess, kept to himself about his like personal information. So like things like this and like why he built buildings like this, it was very kind of mysterious to the locals and whatnot. And supposedly he just like left all of a sudden too at some point in the 1880s, and like asked his bank to liquidate all of the land that you see here and Stanford campus, which, you know, at the time it was not known as Stanford, but it was liquidated to Leland Stanford, who bought it and then did establish Stanford University. So it's just very cool to see something that is linked to Stanford University that completely, you know, predates it and has just kind of stuck around. So there is another building that was built by Pauline that is on the Stanford campus. It's like a kind of like a cottage with like a weird kind of 3-story tower attached to it. And I was thinking to include that in this video, but I feel like this kind of building is unique enough to kind of make a video about it. I know it's going to be kind of on the shorter side for some of the videos that I do, but it's just, you know, something that's too cool to kind of like not make a video about, even if, you know, there's not like a ton of information to share about it. But it's definitely something that is worth seeing in person, because, you know, I've seen pictures and whatnot, Google Street View, it looked interesting, but then seen in person, it's like a lot taller and larger than I was expecting, and just looks like you know, something straight out of medieval Europe. So and then knowing how old it is as well too is just kind of like the you know, icing on the cake pretty much. So yeah, this video is kind of short, a little bit simple, but hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I really do plan on making more videos, so please keep an eye out, and thank you for, you know, always liking, subscribing, everything like that. Thank you. Peace.